That sounds awful. I want to do it again.
Wonderful, then.
It somehow it's a slow song, but the chord changes are fast.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I'm trying to be mellow, and I'm
Yes.
like, what? I gotta,
Yeah.
and I feel like sometimes I don't want to change the chord, which is a problem.
I'm not entirely comfortable with that one, and I'm gonna rationalize it by saying we're getting into meditation, so
Okay. Hey,
just the acoustics sound really good.
if you want to play a couple of the bass notes on here while you're sitting there.
Amen. To anybody who's retired.
She's actually used to do a ton of work. She buy old homes and restore them.
Oh,
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Kevin Rieger, and I will be the prayer chaplain today. I'd like to start us off with the daily word, and the word today is divine order. I see divine order expressing everywhere. I delight in the glorious colors, fragrances, and arrangements of plants in a garden. I celebrate the imagination, the meticulous planning, and the diligent work that transformed a patch of ground, some seeds, water, and fertilizer into a beautiful, life-filled place. I recognize the role of divine order in the creation of this garden, expressing through everyone who worked to bring it into being. It began as an idea in divine mind. Someone received the idea. Cooperating minds developed a plan. Willing hands prepared soil. planted seeds, then watered and tended the growing plants. My spiritual vision perceives divine order, the eternal dance of mind, idea, and manifestation expressing everywhere. I really like that. My spiritual vision perceives divine order, the eternal dance of mind, idea, and manifestation expressing everywhere. And from Genesis chapter 1, God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thank you. And we're going to have our opening song now. Please rise.
All right, good morning. Sing strong. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come, let us gather together. This is a place of love. We come together as people of prayer. This is a house built on love. Come, let us gather in peace. This is a sacred space. We join our hearts here in one loving family. This is a house built on love. We come together as people of prayer. This is a house built on love. We come together. We come together as people of prayer. This is a house built on love.
We noticed eventually.
We are taking a lot of jobs today.
You can handle it, right, Dave? Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up today. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about the weather forecast for this coming week because I see 60s in the forecast, many days, and high 50s, some sunshine. It's finally spring. And after all that snow we had 10 days ago, it's a nice welcome change. So let's enjoy the start of the new season and some renewal of our own. Let's repeat our affirmations. We believe there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, God the good. 2, our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. 3, we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. 4, through prayer and meditation, we align our heart-mind with God. 5, through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. And our affirmation for the congregation, we are here to love and build our personal relationship with God, to love God with all our mind, heart, and soul, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Did you want to do prayer requests today? Oh, okay. Oh, I need a piece of paper here. Oh, I got it. Okay, do we have any prayer requests? Yes. Okay, Gail. Anybody else?
Prayer for my nephew Nick.
Okay.
World peace.
World peace. Okay, let's not forget that, huh?
The Mitchell family healing.
Mitchell family, okay. Yeah,
For Jeff and Celia.
Jeff and Celia. Oh, Rhoda, okay. Part healing, okay. Diane?
For the family of Grandma Barb.
Okay. Yes, Grandma Barb passed this week. So hopefully all of our prayers have helped her make the transition. And now we want to pray for the family for comfort and peace and strength as they move through that. Anything else? All right, well, join me as we take these intentions into prayer. Let's send the power and blessing of God and His Spirit upon all of these people, upon our entire world for world peace. We see growth and healing occurring on every level for each one of these individuals, for our world, for ourselves. And we will place these intentions into our prayer box to be prayed upon throughout the month and then at unity after that. Thank you, God. Amen. All right.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Although there may be drama in the world or in our lives, there is only love. There is only good. So it's like changing a radio station or changing the channel on TV from the drama of the world or the drama in our lives to a station of peaceful, quiet music, peaceful, quiet sounds, and feelings of love, memories of love, experiences of love. This is our true reality. And although the drama of the world and in our lives pulls us away from this truth, we go back to the truth of what is real. Love. God's love for us. We are created in love. We are a being of love. This is the truth about us. This is the truth of what God intended us to experience in this world. The drama of the world pulls us away from this truth, but we return to this truth of love and peace. And as we experience love and peace in our minds and in our hearts, we send those thoughts and feelings out into our neighborhood, out into the city, out into the countryside, out to our nation's capital, and from there out to the world, so that the thought of peace and love begins to be felt in those around the world and around our country and in our nation's capital. And ultimately, as we keep sending this out, just like radio station waves or television station waves going out into the world, love and peace begins to fill the minds and hearts of many. And ultimately the world can return to what God had intended for us to experience here. More of heaven, more of good, more of peace. And so we are thankful for this moment that we can concentrate on peace and love in our own minds and be a beacon out to the world, like radio waves or television waves out to the world, spreading peace and love. And we're thankful for this time to do it together. Amen. Good to see you here. And for those watching through Zoom, welcome today. The subject of my talk today is You Are More Than You Know. And I got this idea from a book Reverend Patty gave to me on the book of Revelation. But there's a chapter in here called You Are More Than You Know. And there's a story in it that happened way back when the explorers first started exploring the continent of the Western world. And in this story, there were some explorers in the year of 1527 that were, their boat had capsized and they struggled to get to shore. And the Indians, who were the natives in the Western world at that time, thought because these were white men, they were gods from heaven. And they had great expectation of these gods who appeared. And so the Indians had a number of sick people, and they wanted these explorers that were thought to be gods to heal them. Well, these explorers didn't have any idea what was they were to do, and they did nothing. So as they were kept prisoner, like hostages, they eventually decided, we better do something or we're going to die here in this prison. So they decided, well, we'll start praying for these sick Indians. And the sick Indians got well. So they were doing something that they never thought they were able to do. And that was the start of it. So, when Jesus said, and it's recorded in John 14, verse 12, the works that I do, you shall do also, and greater things shall you do. So, Jesus said that to the apostles, and we know from the stories and scriptures that after Pentecost, the apostles went out and healed the sick and preached, and miracles happened. So they became and did what Jesus said they could do. Okay, well, it didn't stop there. Of course, then there's the story of Saul, who was changed to Paul after Jesus intervened in his life and turned him into a healer, a preacher. Because remember, Saul was out killing Christians. He was a henchman for the Roman government. So this man became Paul, and he went out and did the works of Jesus. So one day he's killing Christians, and 3 days later, after his being blinded and instructed, he goes out and he's preaching and he's healing the sick, doing the works that Jesus did. So here's another example of, the works that I do, you shall do even greater. Now I'm going to go to a reference in A Course in Miracles. This is from the chapter 29, entitled The Awakening. It says, the body could not separate your minds unless you wanted it to be a cause of separation. Thus do you endow it with a negative power that lies not within itself. What does that mean? We believe, or we have believed in the past, that these bodies would succumb to sickness, aging, and whatever the wind blew in our faces, such as germs, viruses, and bacteria, or whatever we touch, that we would succumb to those powers outside ourselves. That's what that means. Thus do you endow it with a negative power that lies not within itself. So we have given ourselves in this body the power to be subject to germs, viruses, bacteria, illness, aging, and all of that stuff. Goes on to say, now you think it determines, number one, your ability to make communion with others' minds. 2, what is feasible for you to undertake and what you cannot do. I'm going to go through these one at a time and give you examples. 3, what its health can tolerate and what will tire it and what will make it sick. 4, its inherent weaknesses that would limit what you would do and keep your purpose limited and weak. This is 4 sentences of power-packed thoughts or beliefs that Jesus was teaching. Now let's go through this one at a time. Number 1, your ability to communicate with spirit. Okay, there was a couple people in history that were able to communicate with the other side. One of them is a man by the name of John Edwards, and I'm told that you may wait months to get in an audience with him and perhaps a one-on-one conversation. Well, and we've all heard of Sylvia Browne. Well, and we probably all heard of Edgar Cayce. And Kevin has made many references to the works of Edgar Cayce. He would go into like a trance and he could communicate with those on the other side or with the Akashic records to derive um, methods of healing or medicinal remedies for illnesses. And of course, Edgar Cayce's works live on long after he passed. And I have my friend Nancy, who has communicated with the angels and has done messages for other people for approximately 30 years now. Um, and of course, this experience started after the death of her fiance. And then there's me. After my son died, I communicated with him on the other side, and his angels became my teachers for 2 years, and I published this in a book called Messages from Heaven. And so, from people who became famous and for ordinary people, something started this ability to communicate um, with people who are no longer in physical form. And then there's this thing called mental telepathy. Some people have that gift that they can just know things that ordinarily you would not know. And there's someone who told me once that I can listen to you think like I'm listening to a radio. So there are people who have this ability. So this goes right in line with what Jesus said. You think it determines your ability to make communion with other people's minds, whether they're in body or not. So, okay, let's go to number 2. You believe what is feasible for you to undertake or what you can't do. Well, let's take a look at some of the famous inventors. Where did these ideas and inspiration come from? There was Henry Ford, who started the car business. There was the Wright brothers, who started flying airplanes. There was Thomas Edison, who developed electricity. And I understand that when he was a child, he would daydream in school and just be looking out the window. And eventually his mother took him out of the school and did him in homeschooling. But where did these inspirations come from while he's daydreaming? He's getting some communication from a higher realm. And there was Alexander Graham Bell, who was started the telephones just locally, but then eventually the transatlantic cable. Then there's this man, Steve Jobs, who is accredited with a lot of the developments with computers and cell phones that we have today. He said that he got the ideas and how to do this in meditation, when he got the inspiration. So these people who have made these great developments got this information through inspiration from a higher source. Then there's my younger sister, Diane. She was a valedictorian of her high school class. She got scholarships to go to the university or anywhere. But she was working at the local cheese company in the office throughout her high school years. And so after high school graduation, she continued to work out in the office at that local cheese company. But she grew bored with that. And she went to a guidance counselor and he looked at her records from school and he said, "Girl, you can do anything you want." She quit that job, started school at the local university, and finished her uh, accreditation at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Then she moved out east, and her expertise was in genetic and research and biology. Um, so over the years, she moved up in rank, and she became the senior scientist at Pfizer. Well, now she's 66 years old, and she's still working in her retirement mode or semi-retirement for the University of Rhode Island. So, what was in her that she didn't know, and what even our parents didn't recognize, that she had the mental capability of tremendous insight or knowledge into research that would blow our minds on this genetic stuff. But she worked her way to the top in one of the biggest drug companies, but they're looking for cures in genetic diseases. And by the way, she overcame an illness herself that was so-called incurable, but that's another story. So here's this little girl that didn't believe that she had that capability within herself, but she did it. Then there's this man called Willie. Willie was in my jail class for 18 months on a homicide charge. He was a big-time drug dealer, big-time gang leader from Chicago. But he had to do some time on this homicide charge. So he continued his spiritual search, and I witnessed his spiritual awakening in the time he was in my jail class. But while he was doing his time, he wanted to study heating and air conditioning. So I bought him the textbook for him to study. And he eventually became assistant to the head heating and air heating person at Waupun State Prison and ultimately at the Stanley Prison further up north. Then he studied electricity, and I bought him the textbook to study. Okay, he got both licenses for heating and air conditioning, not just for houses, but apartment buildings, supermarkets, high-rises, and eventually his license for electrician, but he had to do an apprenticeship, which he did then at another prison. Willie, we communicated over the years through the mail, and he said, "I never thought I had the intelligence to accomplish this." So here's a man from the streets, and that's all he knew was drug dealing, carrying a gun, and carrying out business likewise. He never thought he had the intelligence to accomplish this. So, ordinary people who can do extraordinary things or accomplish extraordinary things because they don't know they are more than they realize at a certain time in life. Okay, let's go on to number 3. What this body's health can tolerate, what will tire it, and what will make it sick. Boy, that says a lot. Okay, well, what its health can tolerate, what will make it sick. I'm going to comment first on age. We have a concept that as we get older, we're going to decline in health? Well, Henry Kissinger, who passed on this last year at age 100, was still writing and publishing articles when he's 100, accomplishing. My grandfather on my mother's side lived to be 99, and still at that age, living in his house with his wife, still taking care of growing a garden, taking care of the yard, and shoveling the snow on his corner lot in town at age 99. And he'd say, I have my snow shoveled before the young guys in the neighborhood are even out of bed to get their snow blowers out of the garage. And there's Betty White, who lived to be almost 100. At age 99, she was the main character in a movie called The Lost Valentine on Hallmark Channel. So, in that movie, she's able to carry out what she needs to do physically, mentally. She knew her lines. I've seen the movie more than once, and it's a story of giving the Valentine to her young husband who went off to World War II and never returned home. But he dies in combat, and he still has the wallet with that Valentine in. And of course, when his remains were found and brought back home, there's a military funeral. And that's kind of a tearjerker when you see that part of the movie. She waited like 50 years for him to be brought home. Okay, then there's the former Queen Elizabeth. Still in her 90s, she's meeting with the Prime Minister on a regular basis and discussing the government details of England. So one day she's tired and she wants to rest, and she passes on. What a way to go, you know. And this is the way it can be, should be. Don't need to have an illness to destroy this body. I saw recently on TV a story of a 93-year-old couple in Texas who are still running their ranch. They were married 73 years and hope to continue on for more. And the story came up when the fires in Texas in a couple months ago, they were busy trying to save the animals on the farm. So here's this 93-year-old couple, and he's still running the machinery, and they were still dealing with their cattle. And happy after 73 years of marriage. Well, now there's this concern over our president, if he's physically or mentally capable to have another 4 years in office. Well, he passed the physical tests according to his doctor, and those in the White House say he's mentally on top of things every day in his duties at the White House. So do we need to get a different idea about aging and how we can age and stay healthy and strong? And here's Janice. She's going to be 91 pretty soon, and she's still driving and coming to church. So good to see you. Okay, let's go to number 4. It's inherent weaknesses, this body's inherent weaknesses that would limit you. Okay, there are people with disabilities that are accomplishing wonderful things. There's this man by the name of Stephen Hawkins who had an extremely paralyzed body, but he had a genius mind. And I forget the name of his book or the movie that was made about him, but although he was extremely paralyzed, could do nothing physically. A genius mind that remained. Then there are Olympic runners with no legs or have artificial legs, and they're winning in the Olympics. So let's look at this again. It's inherent weaknesses that would limit what you would do and keep your purpose limited and weak. Let's talk on purpose for a moment. So some people think that, okay, when they retire, that's the rocking chair years. I've been so-called retired for a number of years. I'm busier than ever. Not ready for a rocking chair yet. So, finding a purpose in life. And I've had this discussion with a few people lately. They're tired and they're maybe bored. What is your purpose in life? Why are you alive? Why are you here yet? And to find this purpose that really drives you and gives you energy can be something that you find in your retirement years. And I know there are statistics that show that there are people who made a lot of money in high-powered, high-pressure jobs, and they quit because they can't take the pressure, and they get into a hobby or something that they really enjoy doing, and they say they make half the money, but they're enjoying life twice as much, or at least. So finding a purpose in life is important. And in this book, The Untethered Soul, that we covered recently here at church in the book study, there's a chapter in there on a life force that comes not from the food that we eat, but what makes you happy. And I've had the experience of in rehabbing houses, which I started in my 60s, of working a 12-hour shift in home care for the elderly, and then going to a house I was rehabbing and painting until close to midnight, but I'd make myself stop because I need to get some rest because tomorrow morning I got to be to work at 7 o'clock. So just this joy of fixing up this house, my part being cleaning and painting, I was enjoying it so much of restoring this house that I could do it into the late evening hours, but have to stop because I need to get some rest. And also, sometimes when I'd have to drive up north, on my way up north, I'm feeling tired. And I'm thinking, well, I'll find a gas station and lock the doors and take a nap. But then there's a song that comes on the radio that I really like, and I'm singing along with this song, and I'm not tired anymore. I don't need to take a nap. Where does this energy come from? And this chapter in the book of The Untethered Soul, it covers that there's a source of energy that we can tap into that doesn't come from the food we eat or our general lifestyle. What is that? Well, it's not something we can put our fingers on, but when we're doing something or experiencing something that makes us really happy and energized, it gives us an energy that comes not from food we eat. So, again, we have a belief system that is a certain way of what our bodies are capable of, or what we as a spiritual being in this body can do. So we need to rethink some of this stuff. So in the Bible verse from Colossians 1:27, it says, "The Christ in you is the hope of glory." Well, I always thought this meant, well, if we are a good Christian when we die, that's the glory. Well, I'm beginning to think that it's this Christ consciousness in us that comes with our soul, that is within us, or our spirit, and us connecting more to this something inside of us that makes us more than we know. So in unity, we're learning about what our mind can do, or changing our mind can accomplish, but changing our mind to the extent of there is something in us that is greater than a physical being. And so by operating more out of the spiritual consciousness rather than just our human consciousness, we're going to be able to accomplish more. So, again, we have been trained in our belief system to believe a certain way about life in these bodies. So we need to think differently. So when I came across this paragraph in A Course in Miracles, I covered this recently in our Course in Miracles class, but I thought I'm going to add this to today's lesson. This is so packed with information to make us think differently. So it goes on to say, there are many gains your choice has offered you. Okay, if we're going to give up our old thinking and go to a higher level of thinking, there are many gains available. Why are you not rejoicing? Jesus says. You are free of pain and sickness and misery and loss. So he's telling us, shift your thinking to this higher level of thinking, and you'll be free of what's keeping you stuck physically and mentally. Why would you not perceive it as a release from suffering to learn that you are free? There are many gains this choice has offered you, yet you don't see them yet, but they are there. And Jesus goes on to say, God needs your help in giving miracles to them who walk apart, believing they are separate and alone. They will be healed when you accept your gifts. So, to review this a little, you are more than you know. So in all of these people or stories, and there are many more that I could refer to, that people have gone beyond what they ever thought they could accomplish. And so when we get into this belief system that we are more than we know, and we could accomplish more than we ever thought we could, or take on a certain job or a certain career or a certain path in life, we can do this. And let's say even with women today, there was a time women couldn't vote. And then they got the right to vote, and there have been women who have achieved levels in government or in jobs that that never before had happened. And even taking on things like being a policeman or a fireman, well, I can't imagine myself carrying somebody up a ladder or down a ladder. But anyway, there are women who are accomplishing these things today. And even amongst people of other races or cultures, they are achieving things that they never thought were possible. And yet, in the last number of years, there's been a lot of people of other cultures, other races, other religions achieving places in government and careers that they never thought were possible. So, all things are possible if we believe. We are more than we know. And all of God's people said, Amen.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. And so we'll see what happens with any of us who might want to take on a challenge that we didn't think we could. Well, now it's time to take out our offerings. And let us say our offering affirmations together. I have faith in God as my instant, constant, and abundant supply. I have faith in God to open new ways where human sense there is no way. I have faith in God to guide, govern, and direct me in God's service. I have faith in God to raise my human consciousness to divine intelligence for a higher understanding. I have faith in myself as a child of God, eager to do the work for God. And now we'll have some music from our wonderful musicians.
Thanks for your inspirational talk. And what I thought of when you told me what the theme was this Libby Roderick song that some people will know. And if you don't, I hope you will sing it by the very end. It was written in 1988, and what I found that it became an internationally beloved anthem of hope and healing, touching hundreds of thousands of people. It's been used in all kinds of ways. CBS 60 Minutes did a special Teens at Risk using this song. But I think it goes with your talk today, just to let go of, yes, anything that any misbeliefs. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How
how deeply you're connected to my soul.
Sing it with us, if you will. We're going to do it slowly. We've got some nice harmonica in the background here, too, Kevin.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Sing how deeply you're connected to my soul.
Thank you. Beautiful choice.
Thank you.
How could anyone ever tell you anything less than what you are? Okay, a blessing for the givers. We are thankful that all of you have contributed to this unity movement and keeping this church going. So both those of you who are here in presence and those who send their offerings via the mail or otherwise. So God bless you, and you are appreciated. Okay, are there announcements today? Potluck Sunday on April 28th. Bring a dish to share. And healing and connecting the power of music.
Can I jump in on this one? So, I don't know, maybe Kevin has something specific to say, but Catherine Rambo will be featured in the morning, and I've heard about her for years and years, so I'm really grateful that I'll be able to come and be part of her musical presentation with singing bowls and so forth, various sizes, and it'll probably clear this whole building of anything we don't want. And then Doug and I and Kevin and come play. We'll be doing an afternoon after an incredible lunch, by the way, that's provided. So you don't even need to bring a lunch. You'll have a lovely lunch here. And then we will do music in the afternoon, songs that you know, but I'll also just do a little bit of, of theory, just to make your musical enjoyment a little higher, just a little bit more information about how to, keep the rhythm or find a harmony, or we can do rounds and things like that. That'll automatically give us some harmonies. And we'll do it right in this room. And Kevin's said it's okay for having a special rate. You've got a mic there if there's anything you want to say, I guess.
Just see me if you're interested in that, or my email address is on that form, so you could email me as well.
There's a form
Out by the bulletin board.
in the bulletin board. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's the 27th. That's the Saturday before the potluck that you just talked
Okay, thank you.
about. Yeah, you're welcome.
And the annual membership meeting will be on Sunday, April 28th at noon to 1 after the potluck dinner. The agenda: election of new board members and elect a new nominating committee for the board members for next year, and the update on the state of the church here, the center here in Milwaukee, Unity Center here in Milwaukee. So, a lot going on in this month of April yet. So now we're ready for our peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
I have to say it. This Saturday, if you want to do a community sing, it's at the Plymouth UCC Church with myself and 2 other musicians, and you'll have lyrics. And just come and we sing for a couple hours starting at 7:30 on Saturday. Let there be peace on earth, and let it
Let this be my joyous vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
And the prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God
Is, and all is well.
Nice. Thanks for doing bass. That's a nice mandolin, guitar, and everything.
No, it sounds good. And you get fed.
I know, I'm all in. She keeps talking about how good the lunch is. I'm like, I'm coming.
And we don't have to do anything.